Today started off as a day without much of a plan. I haven't had internet access for the past 2 days. I would get some here or there, but not enough to actually do any planning, and I haven't had any at the spots where I've been spending the night, which has been my typical routine, is before I fall asleep, just kind of figure out, what are the key things I want to try to hit the next day. And so this morning when I left my campsite overlooking Gruinard Bay, I might be saying that wrong, I really didn't know where I was going. I didn't get the greatest sleep last night. There was one other family parked in the same parking lot and they were quiet and they were fine. But then some local kids showed up around 11:30 midnight so that they could camp as well, and they were just loud and slamming their car doors and stuff. And then I didn't hear them after that. They didn't cause any trouble or anything. I'd just fallen asleep and then was woken up again, and then it took me a long time to fall back asleep again. In the morning anyways, I set off following the route, and then I ended up at Inverewe Gardens. It was quite expensive to get in. I thought it was £11 or £12, but that's fine. I haven't really spent a whole lot on tourist attractions lately. Most of the stuff I've been seeing has been free, so you gotta spend a little once in a while. It was a giant site that I didn't see at all. The part that I loved the most was they had this house that one of the former owners used to live in, and it was set up as a museum, but not like any other museum I've ever seen. Instead of having like displays kind of behind glass or whatever with little like plaques with like huge chunks of text that you don't want to read, because even if you try to read it all, you just can't, because it's information overloaded. It's too much. You just can't. This house, when you walked in, it was all set out, and then you didn't really touch anything. I suppose you could have, but it wasn't really out for touching. It was just out like as if it would be used. So if you walk into the dining room, the dinner settings were all out. And instead of those little cards of text, the plates themselves, the placemats, the pictures framed and hung on the walls, those were the places where they had text, and it wasn't like a huge solid chunk of text. It was very graphically done and just like key bits of information. So I was super impressed with the museum, the little house. I loved that a lot, and I think a lot of museums could learn from that. It just makes it more digestible, and you really felt like you were in the atmosphere of the place rather than a museum. Oh, and there's like cool things too, like there was a telephone and it would ring every once in a while, and you're actually allowed to like pick it up when it rang, and there'd be somebody on the other end telling you some information. And in like one of the living rooms there was an old record player, and it was playing. It wasn't actually playing. They had like a hidden speaker somewhere playing a recording, but still they had like atmospheric noises and sounds, and it made it really come alive. And then the gardens themselves were really diverse. So they had plants from all over the world. So it was kind of bizarre to be wandering through this forest and these gardens. And yeah, there was stuff native to Scotland, but there was also bamboo growing and all kinds of trees and plants that I'd never seen before. So that was neat, and it's always fun as a photographer to look for the textures and colors and shapes in a garden, especially one with all kinds of new and interesting things to explore. guess, a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours. Took my time. And there's a little gift shop on the way out, of course, and so I got myself a magnet. Hadn't really gotten any touristy, souvenir-y things yet, so I did that. And then on my way from there, I stopped at a little town called Gairloch, I don't know. I drove kind of up through the town and saw it, and then drove back out. Didn't actually stop in the town itself, but then just right outside of the town there was a grocery store and like a farm store and a little tourist information store where they're selling like crafts and different things, and a little cafe. So I stopped there, got a little snack, and got another magnet. This one was like a North Coast 500 magnet, so I figured I might as well get something that signifies the journey. And after I left there, I stopped at Victoria Falls. It was a waterfall, many tiered, and you could kind of walk up behind it and like see the river where the water was coming from, which was kind of cool. And then I ended up at Beinn Eighe. I know I'm saying that one wrong. It is a national nature reserve, and it's on the edges of Loch Marie, and it's one of the only freshwater lochs in Scotland that isn't really impacted by industry, so it's still very pristine. And then this forest here has a lot of, they call it Scots pine. It's natural to this area, and I just from reading one of the signs, I guess a lot of the other forests have been replanted with species of trees that aren't indigenous to the area. So it's important for them to protect this forest. And then there was like a 2-kilometer hike through the forest, and that was fun to do. And it just, got me thinking that I'm really thankful to be from Canada, where forests are not tourist attractions. Not that they are here necessarily, but kind of. We're just so blessed to have so much nature and natural resources all around us, and I know I definitely take it for granted all the time. So anyways, that's my philosophy for today. So I'm still here at that nature reserve in the parking lot, and I'm going to spend the night here. And it's gotten pretty dim tonight because there's cloud cover and it feels like a little storm's coming through. It's been really weird. It's been kind of rainy in Scotland the past few days versus how sunny it was when I first arrived. But it never really seriously rains. It just kind of spatters a bit, however you want to say that, and then it kind of blows over. So I've yet to see it actually like be a downpour or anything. So even if it does rain, and it doesn't really stop you from doing whatever you want, because you just put up with it for a few minutes and then it goes away. Anyways, I think this might be my last night on the North Coast 500. I don't know if I'll make it all the way to Skye tomorrow. I think I'm heading to Skye tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. I really wanted to see Highland Games while I'm here, and just the timing and locations of all the Highland Games are not really working out with where I'm at. So tomorrow, depending on how I feel, I might completely scrap the rest of my plans and rearrange them so I can go to a Highland Games. But I don't know. We'll see. Alright, that's it for today's adventures.